Hello students, welcome to the next class of economics. In class 12th, we are doing the book Indian Economic Development and your next chapter is Environment and Sustainable Development. So in this book of Indian Economic Development, we have studied earlier about India has achieved the progress in the field of agriculture and industries, but it paid a huge cost in this process of the development as we have paid a very heavy cost as environment somehow degraded as we step into the era of globalization that promises higher economic growth, but we have to bear in mind that the adverse consequences of the past development path on our environment and consciously we can say we have chosen a path, but we need to be on the path of the sustainable development. So there are the adverse impact on our environment in this process of growth and development. So in this chapter we will discuss about the function, role and the state of India's environment. We'll also discuss steps and strategies to achieve sustainable development, and then our growth and development will be successfully achieved. So in this series of discussion, next is the environment, its definition and functions. So environment is the totality of planetary inheritance and the totality of the resources. It includes biotic and abiotic factors that influence each other. What comes under the biotic factors? All the living organisms such as birds, animals, plants, forest, fisheries and the microorganisms. Abiotic factors include air, water, sunlight, rocks, and the combination of these both is known as the environment. So the study of environment calls for a study of the interrelationship between these biotic and abiotic factors. After that, now we'll discuss about the functions of environment. What environment, which function it performs. So the very first function which it performs is it supplies renewable and non-renewable resources. So what it sensing? It means renewable resources are those resources which can be used without the possibility of them getting depleted or exhausted. Like we are getting the sunlight, we are enjoying the trees, plants. So these are the resources which are not going to be depleted soon or which can be regenerated. The next is the non-renewable resources. So in this category, the resources which get exhausted with extraction of its use. For example, fossil fuels, oil, coal, these can be exhausted, so these cannot be regenerated. So these are the natural resources which environment provides and are used as input for the producing goods and services. So environment provides us these renewable and non-renewable resources. The second point is कि environment assimilates waste, or assimilates meaning here is the absorbs. So environment absorbs the waste. We need to undertake production process to produce a commodity. During the production process, a lot of waste generated. So activities of consumption and the production both generate the waste, and the generation of waste occurs in the form of garbage. So environment absorb this waste created by the activities of production and consumption. So through this way it help us. The next is your point number 3. It sustains life by providing genetic and biodiversity. So environment includes the basic elements required for survival such as air, water, soil, sun, etc. So the presence of these elements correspond to sustenance of human life. So we can say environment has the carrying capacity to sustain life and is providing us the such environment which is helping to develop the biodiversity. Biodiversity, we can say, in a region various types of species are living. So this is the biodiversity. Different types of plants and animals are living together, like a huge animals like elephant, giraffe, and the small animals like mice, goat, cow, cats, and more smaller, some mules, etc. The fourth function, which done by the environment, its next function is the provision of aesthetic services. What it means? It means environment includes all those elements which improve quality of human life. For example, land, sea, ocean, rainfall, air, atmosphere, deserts, and mountains. So, all these elements make our surroundings beautiful and refreshing. And we know, as if we fall ill or sick, then doctors advise us to visit to the hill stations or to the beautiful destinations. So, human beings would cherish and enjoy these surroundings, which will help in improving their quality of life. So, this also provides by the environment. In the previous discussion, we were discussing about the two topics of the functions of environment: absorptive capacity and the carrying capacity. It was asked in the previous year board examination, so we'll discuss them in detail. So, environment is able to perform these functions without any interruption as long as the demand on these function is within its carrying capacity. Like, we should not overuse it or over extract the resource. So implies that resources are extraction, the resource extraction is not above the rate of regeneration of resource, and the waste generated are within the assimilating capacity of the environment. So if we are generating the waste or we are extracting the resources, but it is we are doing up to a limit, so it is called the carrying capacity. When it is this is not so, the environment fails to function, and this results in environmental crisis. So what is environmental crisis? When environment is failed to function and the results in the imbalance or in the pollution, so it is your environmental crisis. So what can be the reasons? Like deforestation and the overuse of use of resources or extraction, over extraction can be the uses, can be the reason for environmental crisis. The second is the absorptive capacity. So what it means? It means the ability of environment to absorb degradation. Resources have become extinct and the waste generated are beyond the absorptive capacity of the environment. So what, as a result, we stand at threshold of environmental crisis. So to make matters worse, global warming and ozone depletion also contribute to increase financial commitments for government. So this opportunity cost of negative environmental impact is high here. So we should be very careful, and we should be do the use of resources in a very intelligent manner, very if in a very efficient manner, so that the environment will remain clean. The next topic is state of India's environment. So let's see the state. There are the various types of the degradation in India's environment. So developmental activities in the India have resulted in the pressurizing the infinite resource besides creating impacts on human health and well-being. So threat to India's environmental degradation poses a dichotomy or threat of poverty included environmental degradation, and at the same time threat of pollution from affluence and rapidly growing industrial sector. So what it results, how our environment is in India, there is land degradation happened, solid waste management problem is there, biodiversity loss is there, and the next is the air pollution. These are the priority issues in India's environment which we should work on immediately. So if will we manage to control our land degradation, solid waste management, air pollution, and biodiversity loss, then we can cover it up the gaps. So next we'll discuss about the land degradation and the air pollution in this series. So land degradation, what it means? The loss of vegetation and due to deforestation. Second is unsustainable fuel wood and fodder extraction. it lead to the land degradation, shifting cultivation, encroachment into forest lands, forest fires and overgrazing. It also lead to the land degradation, non-adoption of adequate soil conservation measures, and improper crop rotation. These are the major causes, and the discriminate use of agrochemicals also affected, improper planning and management of irrigation systems, extraction, over extraction we can say, of groundwater, and open access resources. So poverty of agriculture dependent people also affect the land degradation. The next issue is air pollution. So if we'll see the India, so in India it's a widespread problem. Widespread in urban areas where vehicles are major contributors and a high concentration of industries and thermal power plants. They release lots of carbon and which contribute to the air pollution. So vehicular emissions are a major concern and have maximum impact on general pollution. CPCB has identified 17 different categories of industries which are polluting. It is the board, controlling board of the pollution, Central Pollution Controlling Board, CPCB. So the number of vehicles has increased from 3 lakhs in 1951 to 67 crore in 2003, and it is keep rising. So that is why our environment is pollution is increasing and environment crisis is there in India. So as we have seen the problem, so what is the solution? The solution to these all problem is the sustainable development. It is the solution of the problem of the environmental crisis. How we can achieve it? So we have the option, we have the resolution. What is sustainable development? Let's discuss. Sustainable development is the development that will allow future generations to have a potential average quality of life that is at least as high that which is enjoyed by current generation. So concept was emphasized by United Nations Conference on Environment and Development. So it was defined as the development that meets the need of the present generation without compromising the ability of the future generation to meet their own needs. So noted down, development that meets the need of the present generation without compromising or harming the ability of the future generation to meet their own needs. So definition is linked to distribution of resources, and I have a list you can see here. If this type of development will be there, so there will be no poverty, zero hunger will be there, good health and well-being will be there, quality education can be ensured, gender equality will be there, clean water and sanitation will be there, affordable and clean energy will be there, decent work and economic growth will be, industrial innovation and infrastructure will develop, it will reduce the inequality in societies, sustainable cities and communities will be there. After that there will be the development of the climate action, life below water will be safe, life on land will be protected, peace and justice will be spread, and the partnerships for the goals will be developed. So through this way we can protect our environment and we can do the development of the country without harming the needs of the future generation, and it is the need of time. So there was a Brundtland Commission emphasized on the protection of future generations. So what it emphasized on the preservation of regenerative resources, and measure taken by the present generation are the conservation of the natural resources and avoiding the imposition of added costs. So that was the suggestion. And according to Herman Daly, the following needs to be done to achieve sustainable development. So these are the points which we should follow. Limiting human population if we are doing so. Rate of regeneration of non-renewable resources should be less than the creation of renewable resources. And the technological input should be input efficient. It is going to help us, and inefficiencies arising from pollution should be corrected, and finally renewable resources should be extracted on sustainable basis. So now we have the strategies for the sustainable development. If we are looking for the development of our country, our nation, so if we'll follow these rules, these strategies, we will achieve the sustainable development. So what are those steps? So if we'll use the non-conventional source of energy. So India is largely dependent on thermal and hydropower, both of which have an adverse impact on the environment. So, wind power and solar power are good examples of non-conventional sources. Uh, so, I thought they are not fully developed yet. So, we should work over them. So, if we're working on them, it can be a solution for clean energy. Next is LPG gobar gas in villages. So, household in rural areas use wood fuel, which results in deforestation, air pollution, etc. So, to rectify this situation, government is providing subsidized LPG. Thus, energy wastage is minimized and cattle dung is used as fertilizer in the village areas. So, it also reduces household pollution to an extent, and through this way, there will be less burning of the wood, and your air pollution can be controlled, and the people will enjoy good health. If we'll also spread the CNG usage in the urban areas, Delhi use CNG as fuel in public transport, which resulting in lower pollution and cleaner air in the city of Delhi. We should also develop the power or wind energy in areas with high velocity of wind. Wind power is often harnessed to provide an additional source of energy, and the initial cost is high, but the benefits are quite high, and it is a clean energy totally, which is not going to harm our environment. And solar power through photovoltaic cells, we should need to work more research and development on this field. India is naturally endowed with large amounts of sunlight, and with the help of photovoltaic cells, commonly we say solar plates, solar energy can be converted into electricity and extremely used for remote areas and for places where supply of power is either not possible or too costly. We can use them. So next is the mini hydel plants which work on the resources again provided by the nature. So use of energy of small streams to harness power. So where there are the rivers, we can generate the hydel plants, we can develop them, and they are more or less environmental friendly as they do not change local land patterns and produce enough for the local needs. So next is the traditional knowledge and practices. If you are using them, it is going to help us in the balancing of the environment, and it can reduce the environmental crisis. So traditionally, Indians have been close to environment, and various Ayurveda and Unani healthcare systems are now in forefront as they do not affect the environment and they do not need large industrial processing areas, nor do they have any side effects. So they are going to be very beneficial for us and they will lead us to the sustainable development. Now, the biocomposting and the biopest control can also be used in this process of sustainable development. Farmers have started avoiding the use of chemical fertilizer, and the use of biocompost has been brought in forefront. So, the cattle dung is an important aspect of biocompost, and India have a huge number of cattle in itself. So, India is having one of the world's largest number of cattle. Earthworms can convert organic matter into the waste faster than the normal composting system. So we can use them in this process of the conversion of the your manure, and it is going to be more beneficial. And biopest control can be the natural to counter the challenge of chemical fertilizer. Efforts are being made to bring in better methods of pest control. One such step is to use of pesticide based on the plant products like neem is there. The mixed cropping and different types of crop growing has helped farmers, and awareness about using animals and birds which help in controlling pests is spreading in India now, and it is again going to protect environment, reduce the environmental crisis and the pollution. Student, through this way we can achieve the sustainable development, and now your chapter is complete. If there is any query or question, we can discuss. and you can ask your questions. So see you in the next session, students. The chapter is complete. You will get the notes in your Google Classroom. Okay, students. See you in the next session. Thank you.